Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're synthesizing quite a stack of sources, actually. We're looking at tech, Washington policy, new financial tools, all hitting the trucking industry right now.
Yeah, and our goal really is to cut through all that noise for you.
Give you those clear, actionable insights you need.
We're looking at stories that might seem separate, a new electric truck, a political debate, but they all connect.
How so?
Well, every single one of these shifts basically demands that you, the driver, need to think less like just an employee or someone doing a job and more like a business owner, a really well-protected, diversified business owner.
Okay, that's the theme. Running your operation like a business. So the industry's changing, sometimes quietly, like with EVs maybe, and sometimes loudly, like with these big venture capital-backed apps or policy fights.
Exactly.
So today, we'll unpack the future of the engine itself, this surprising fight over CDL requirements, how load management is evolving.
And crucially, how the best defense against all this volatility might actually be how you manage your time off the road to build real financial independence.
Right. Empowering you to manage time not just for the load or the clock,
but for your own future, your long-term financial freedom.
Hmm.
So where do we start? Maybe with what's actually rolling onto the highway, the whole zero-emission thing.
Let's do it. The future of the road. Okay, so the company making waves here seems to be ZM Trucks. What are we looking at? What kind of trucks are they building?
They're focused squarely on Class 4, right up through Class 8. So medium to heavy duty, all electric.
And what makes them credible? There are a lot of EV startups.
Good question. Their big advantage is the backing. They're a U.S. brand, but they're supported by Zhongzi or ZV, which is a huge manufacturing player in China.
Ah, so they've got the manufacturing muscle and supply chain experience.
Exactly. That gives them a leg up that a lot of startups just don't have. Stability.
And it's not just the batteries, right? The sources mentioned smart tech integration.
Yeah, definitely. They're packing these things with advanced systems. We're talking real-time diagnostics, sophisticated route optimization, managing charging efficiency. It's the whole package.
Total system integration.
Right. And importantly, while the tech might be global, the plan, as mentioned, is for North American assembly and customization.
Okay, but here's the kicker, at least for now. ZM Trucks is going after fleets first, not the owner-operator. Not yet, anyway.
Which makes sense from their perspective. Fleet managers, well, they're looking at the potential fuel savings, lower maintenance, that green image. It's very attractive on paper for a large operation.
But for our listeners, many of whom are owner-operators, it's a different calculation, isn't it?
Totally different. The caution flags go right up. First, what's the actual cost? Second, where do I charge this thing, especially if I'm running long haul through rural areas?
And who fixes it? If I break down in the middle of nowhere, is there a network?
Precisely. Am I going to be the guinea pig for this tech? There's a lot of skepticism. You know that old saying?
If it don't growl, it ain't haulin'. Yeah, I've heard that one.
It captures that sentiment perfectly. But like it or not, the tech is moving forward.
Okay, so that's the tech side. Let's pivot now.
Yeah.
From tech to policy, because Washington is kicking up dust over who actually gets to drive these trucks, electric or diesel.
Right. This is the effort by some Senate Republicans to roll back a 2011 FMCSA rule.
The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, yeah.
That rule basically allows states, if they choose, to offer the written part of the CDL test in languages other than English.
Okay, so what's the argument for getting rid of that option?
The main argument cited is safety. Proponents say drivers absolutely need to read road signs, understand warnings, communicate with law enforcement, all in English.
Which, on the face of it, sounds reasonable.
It does. But the sources we looked at really highlight the counter-arguments. The opposition sees this as more political than practical.
And they point out something crucial, don't they, about the data?
Yes. There is currently no federal crash data linking accidents to drivers who took their CDL test in another language. Zero. So critics are saying this is potentially discriminatory, and frankly, it could shrink the driver pool at a time when we desperately need more drivers.
It feels like there's a real irony here.
How so?
Well, the industry itself seems to have already adapted, hasn't it? Carriers often provide training materials in multiple languages because they need the drivers. Dispatch instructions, they're often translated instantly by tech now.
That's a great point. The industry, out of necessity, has found ways to work with multilingual drivers. So this political fight feels, Well, it feels a bit like it's trying to solve a problem from yesterday while ignoring the real driver shortage we have today.
Interesting way to put it. Okay, so policy uncertainty adds another layer of complexity.
Definitely. And while that debate affects the future supply of drivers, current drivers are facing immediate financial pressures. We need to talk about defending the bottom line right now. Operational efficiency, financial protection.
Right. And speaking of efficiency, the whole load board scene is getting shaken up. FleetWorks just pulled in, what, $17 million?
Yeah, a hefty Series A of funding round for their freight execution platform.
And the big promise is faster matching between truckers and loads.
Yeah.
And supposedly cutting out the broker.
That's the pitch. Faster matching, they say load info up front, less back and forth, fewer empty miles, swipe and drive, almost.
Okay, hold on. FleetWorks, it sounds an awful lot like they're just building a slicker app interface for what brokers already do.
Yeah.
And if they've got $17 million in venture capital,
Uh-huh.
doesn't that mean their real priority has to be getting a return on that investment? Like monetizing user data or maximizing fees rather than actually helping driver rates?
That is the million-dollar question, or rather the $17 million question.
I'm skeptical this doesn't just become another race to the bottom on rates, more competition pushing prices down.
That's the core concern, absolutely. That money demands a return, and it usually comes from fees or data. And think about this. Automation is great for speed, but what happens when a load goes wrong? A flat tire, a delay at the shipper?
Yeah, you need a human.
Yeah.
Someone to call, someone who understands the situation.
Exactly. Automation lacks that empathy, that problem-solving support. So you, the driver, need to weigh the convenience against that potential lack of support and the potential costs.
Which ties into the need for drivers to have more control over their whole operation. And that seems to be where Trucker Path is heading. They're making a big shift.
Yeah, this is significant. They started as, a really popular trip planning app. Now they're aiming to be a full business operations hub.
So more than just finding truck stops or way stations.
Much more. They're integrating tools for dispatch, for tracking loads and trucks, monitoring performance, providing analytics, basically trying to put all the operational tools in one place.
Okay, for a tech-savvy owner-operator, that consolidation could be powerful, making smarter decisions about routes, fuel, everything.
Potentially, yes. Immediate insights.
But, and there's always a but, isn't there? For the learner audience, maybe someone not super comfortable with tech, this raises a couple of flags for me.
Like what?
First, subscription creep. How many little fees for this feature, that analytics report? How much does it all add up to each month?
Good point. It needs to provide real value over the cost.
And second, maybe more importantly, who owns all that data? Your routes, your driving performance, your business metrics, that stuff is incredibly valuable if you're feeding it all into one app.
You need to understand what you're giving up in return. What's the trade-off? That's critical.
Okay, so managing operations is key, but managing the money is even more fundamental, especially with tight margins. What are the specific financial defense tools drivers should look at first?
Well, let's start with the biggest variable cost.
Fuel. Fuel cards. We hear about them all the time. Do they actually save money?
They absolutely can. Prepaid fuel cards offer real, tangible savings. We're talking anywhere from, say, 10 cents up to maybe 40 cents a gallon, depending on the card and the network. Plus, they're safer than carrying wads of cash.
Okay, but what's the catch?
You have to read the fine print. You might see a big per gallon saving advertised, but hidden transaction fees, monthly account fees, or really limited networks that force you way off route can eat up those savings fast.
So you got to do the math for your specific routes and needs.
Exactly. You need to manage the balance, know the network. Some of the top names mentioned in the sources were OTR Solutions, RTS Carrier Services, EFS or Fleet One Eddy GE, and Comdata. Worth checking out.
Got it. Now, beyond fuel, what about protecting yourself if the customer just doesn't pay? We hear horror stories about that.
This is where AR insurance comes in, accounts receivable insurance.
Explain that. What is AR insurance, simply?
Think of it like this. It's cargo insurance, but for your money. You haul the load, you do the work, you send the invoice to the broker or the shipper.
And then they go bankrupt, or just vanish, or drag out payment forever.
Right. If they default for those reasons, the AR insurance company steps in and pays you the money you're owed, minus any deductible, of course.
And why is this so relevant now?
Because, unfortunately, broker fraud seems to be increasing, and payment times are definitely stretching out. 30 days is lucky, often at 60, sometimes even 90 days or more.
Wow. If your margins are thin, waiting that long is tough. Risking non-payment could be fatal.
devastating for a small operator. Look, this is how the big fleets protect their cash flow. It's a standard tool for them. And owner-operators, especially if you're running tight, really need to consider it. It buys peace of mind.
Okay, so we've laid out the challenges. Regulatory pressure, this slow, cautious move towards expensive new tech like EVs, the constant financial risks from slow pay, non-pay, maybe even these new apps. We've covered the what's and the where of the problem.
Yeah, a lot of pain points.
So what's the how? What's the ultimate solution, the strategy for a trucker navigating all this volatility?
Well, interestingly, the sources suggest the best solution isn't necessarily buying a newer truck or finding that one perfect load board app.
What is it?
It comes down to the driver's most valuable assets, their time and their specialized knowledge. There are organizations out there, like the one Hervey runs, LifeAsATrucker, whose whole mission is about this.
And what's that mission?
It's simple, really, to help drivers get out of trucking, but on their own terms. Not because they burned out or the industry forced them out, but because they chose to.
Okay, retiring by choice, not by necessity. That's powerful. So how do they propose doing that? What's the actual strategy?
The core strategy our sources highlighted involves training truckers specifically on how to use AI, artificial intelligence.
AI. Okay, how does AI fit into trucking independence? We're not talking about self-driving trucks here, right?
No, not at all. It's about using AI tools to create other streams of income. Auxiliary income, online income that's completely separate from driving.
So this recurring money, earned online, acts as a kind of shield.
Exactly. That's the perfect word. A shield against the crazy swings in freight rates, fuel prices, the economy, whatever the trucking market throws at you.
Okay, let's make that AI part more concrete, though. Why AI? And what kind of income streams are we talking about? You don't need to be a coder, right?
Definitely not. AI is the focus because these tools can automate a lot of the administrative work or the creative work that would normally eat up your precious off-duty time. It lets you leverage what you already know, your years of experience in trucking.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
Well, maybe using AI to help you quickly create digital guides for new drivers coming into the industry, or generating templates for small fleet management based on your own best practices. Maybe even setting up a simple e-commerce niche store related to trucking gear that AI helps you manage while you're on the road.
So turning your hard-won experience into something digital, something scalable, that earns money even when you're not driving.
Precisely. That online income does two things. One, it builds towards that goal of retiring when you decide. Two, it cushions the blow if your main trucking gig hits a rough patch, maybe the company downsizes, or your truck needs a sudden, massive repair.
It provides options, resilience.
That's it, resilience. The most successful truckers going forward will be the ones who master their off-duty time. That's the real takeaway here.
So manage your time not just for the ELD or the dispatcher.
Manage your time for yourself. Use those hours to learn skills, build that shield, create genuine financial independence away from the truck. Your time off is your single greatest asset for long-term security.
Okay, so wrapping this up, we've seen the industry is changing silently with things like EVs, loudly with policy fights, and these heavily funded apps.
And the common thread through all of it is change. And with change comes risk.
So the key is managing that risk.
It's operating like that highly protected, diversified business owner we talked about at the start. You use the tools smartly, the fuel cards, you understand the app data issues, but fundamentally, you invest your own time in building income streams off the road.
That independent income.
That's the only real path to lasting independence and control in this business at the end of the day.
All right, so that leaves us with a final thought for you, the driver listening right now. Think about this. If these new platforms, maybe like FleetWorks, actually do manage to save you hours each week, less time chasing brokers, fewer empty miles.
If you suddenly have, say, an extra 5-10 hours a week.
Where should you invest that reclaimed time?
Yeah.
Should you just chase another load for someone else to max out your hours? Or should you invest that time in building that financial shield, that recurring online income that protects your future, your retirement?
Which path leads to the control you want? That's the question to think about until our next deep dive.